Today, what I'd like to share with you is a way that life can feel less like a struggle. How many of you feel that? That everyday life is a bit of a struggle? It feels like life is a battle. Every day there's something new, some other trouble, something else lurking, some other issues that haven't been resolved. Anyone feel like that? There's always something. It feels like we always have the next problem that we're trying to solve, the next battle that we need to fight. And in a strange way, we've almost been brought up in that way. Even in early childhood, you had to perform well in the classroom. You had to do better than your other classmates. And then when you finish with your education, then you have to fight to get the job, to build your career. Anyone who runs a business knows what a struggle it is. The fight, the struggle, to compete, to get new customers, to develop your products, your services. So you struggle from childhood, you struggle into adulthood, and some of us, we even fought to marry the one that we love. Our one true love, we had to fight all of our family members. No, this is the person I'm meant to be with. So then we fight with our family members. There are so many times in our life that it's felt like we had to fight. And then once you get married, then a whole bunch of new fights start. Isn't that true? Constantly battling. And then we start to notice our body aging, and that becomes another struggle, another fight, a fight to stay young, a fight to stay relevant when the world is moving forward. Doesn't it feel like that all the time? So many different struggles. And yet, deep down, we know, we feel, life is not meant to be like this. It's meant to be easier. There's something in us that says, life shouldn't be such a struggle. Should be easier. So how do we go from that struggle to a more peaceful life? You know, this isn't a new problem. This has been humanity's problem all along. And guess what? There are a few rare, amazing people who've solved this problem. We call them masters, the elders, the wise ones who've solved this problem. And so today I want to share some of their wisdom, not mine, their wisdom. Because they went through the same struggles. They went through the same fights. Some of them went through even more difficulties than you and I could ever imagine. What did they learn about life? What did they share about how to make life less of a struggle? The first and most important lesson that the masters taught us about life. They told us the quality of your mind will determine the quality of your life. Today we're seeing a lot more awareness of mental health issues. And as a society, we're beginning to understand that you can have all the money in the world, you can have the great job and the finances, you can live in a wonderful house, you can have even your loved ones around you. yet you can still be in mental torment. The masters have given us one fundamental lesson. The quality of your mind will determine the quality of your life. So you know what they're telling us? You're fighting the wrong things. You spent your whole life battling the world, hoping to fix the world in order to make your life feel better. Isn't that what we do? We're trying to fix the world. We're trying to change the circumstances so that they're more favorable. And we have this idea that if we fix the world, then our life will be okay. Those of us who are familiar with Guru Nanak Dev Ji's Japji Sahib, he teaches us that that's not the right formula. You can't fix the world to fix your life. Guruji teaches us, Man jeeta, jag jeet. Fix your mind and you will fix the world. And the honest truth is that sounds quite alien to us. That doesn't sound like what we should be doing. Certainly society doesn't teach us that. But these masters are not going along with societal norms. They're not trying to fix the world. They know, first fix yourself. Guru Nanak Dev Ji's formula is, fix your mind. Conquer your mind and you will conquer the world. You know, that's probably one of the most misunderstood concepts from Guru Nanak's wisdom. Whenever we hear people are talking about Man jeeta, jag jeet, somehow they make it into things to do with materialism. Conquer your mind so that you can get the job that you want. Conquer your mind so that you can manifest the life that you want. So what they're doing, the people who are teaching you, is that they're trying to still attach you to the world. The idea that they're teaching you is still get all the worldly things that you really want. But first you need to have a positive mental attitude. But that's not what Guru Nanak is teaching us. That's not what the masters are teaching us. What they're saying is if you fix your mind, you will be able to manage life no matter what happens in the world. Not fix your mind so that you can have a comfortable life. And that's a very subtle difference between these two. So today I want us to have a look at a different way of living life. Rather than making life about a battle to fix the world, the masters have introduced the idea that you must become a mind warrior. You must become a champion of your mind. Now, for some of us, already this is sounding like too much work. You know why? Because we don't see anyone doing it. What do we see? When we look around us, we see everybody else living a normal life. And then you come to a seminar and somebody tells you, I don't want you to do that, I want you to fix your mind. And you can already feel some of the heart sinking and thinking, can you not give me a shortcut? Isn't there some magic mantra that I can just say to fix everything? But the Guru says that this is not going to be an easy job. So then the real question we have to ask ourselves is, well, why should I bother? Why do I need to fix my mind? I think I'll just go home and carry on. Things are okay as they are. But the truth of the matter is, we're not okay. When anybody asks you, how are you? your automatic response is, I'm fine. But deep down, we all know we're not fine. And if we're fine now, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's around the corner. The truth is, I'm fine is the biggest lie that we tell ourselves and the biggest lie we tell the world. You can lie to everyone else, but you can't lie to the masters. They know you're not fine. Because they too were like us. They too were born into the world, into the same scenarios, into the same circumstances. They too went through schooling and education, family problems, life struggles, career issues. They went through all of those. And they said, I know that you're not fine, because I wasn't fine. All they did was tried a different solution. And today, what we're going to do is we're going to share that solution. Sound good? So Man Jeete Jagjeet is about overcoming the mind. You know what the truth is? Most of us don't know what our mind is. And now some of you will think, you might not know what my mind is, but I know what my mind is. Do you? Most of us don't know that we have two minds. We have only ever known one mind. We can call that the lower mind or the ego mind. Most of us have not known that there is another option. We're always functioning from this lower mind, the normal mind, the ordinary mind. Do you think Guru Nanak is operating from the ordinary mind? No, because he's conquered that lower mind. He's operating from something else. We don't even know that there's a second option. I have two minds? I didn't know that. Nobody taught me that in school. In fact, nobody taught me anything in school about my mind. Did any of you get any lessons on the mind? On the self? On your emotions? You've been given something so powerful, and yet you've just been left to your own devices to figure it out. This is where the masters come in. Because they're not masters of business. They're not masters of finance. They're not masters of relationships. They're not here to help you manifest. They're not here to teach you about law of attraction. They're not here to get you all the money and riches in the world. They are masters of their own minds. And they are not functioning from this lower mind. So the first lesson that we're going to absorb in today is that I've been operating from my lower mind. Maybe there's a second option. This is all spirituality is. You know, spirituality can be quite a complicated thing. It sounds like something so complicated. And I get people coming up to me and say, oh, I used to do this, but now I do this. I used to live like this, and now I do that. Now I've changed my diet. Now I've started growing my hair. Now I read these prayers. Now I do this and that. But the Guru is teaching us, are you a master of your mind? Or has your mind become your master? What do you think? The mind is our master? We don't like to think that we're slaves, right? In fact, we don't even see the difference between us and our mind. Is that true? You don't see the difference between you and your ego mind. You think, I am my mind. Whatever my mind says, I believe. One of the most profound teachings, don't believe everything you think. Isn't that simple? Don't believe everything you think. You can see it in your own lives. Sometimes you're even in the temple or the Gurdwara, and then somebody walks by that you don't like. what happens to your mind? Your whole attention goes there. Oh, that person's here. You start to feel uncomfortable. Oh, I think they owe me money. Or the last time I saw them, they were arguing with me and we didn't leave on good terms. And you start hiding and you want to get up and go away. Or all of the negative thoughts. I can't believe that person's here. How dare they show up? Don't they know I was going to be here at the same time? All of these things your mind is doing. Are you doing that? Who's doing that? Are you the creator of those thoughts? We don't know. So we don't actually know what our mind is. So if you don't know what your mind is, how are you going to conquer your mind? You don't know. So the very first thing that we need to learn is we are operating from this thing called this ego mind, lower mind. You first have to start becoming comfortable with the idea that this regular mind that I've lived with my whole life may not be my best friend. And then your mind is going to tell you, shh, don't listen to him. I am your friend. In fact, I'm your only friend. I'm the one that's got you this far in life. Other people have come and gone, but I've been here for you. Your mind, your best friend. If you can't rely on anyone else, I'm always going to take your side. Has your mind ever been against your side? The mind is always your best friend. No, you're okay. She did something wrong. He did something wrong. It's their fault. It's not your fault. How many times do you even blame yourself? Almost never. It's always somebody else or something else's fault. Your mind is going to tell you, I am your best friend. But the mind has also been the reason why you haven't gone into the second mind, the higher state, the higher mind. The lower mind doesn't want you to go into the higher mind. We can even call this the divine mind. Your lower mind doesn't want you to go there. Because in order to do that, you have to give up the lower mind. Who's willing to do that? We see all of these teachings again and again and again. Joto prem khelan ka chao, sir tar tali gali mere aao. The Guru is saying, if you want to come to me, there's a price to pay. You know that thing that you're walking around with, that mind? Give that to me. Those of you who go to the Gurdwara, when you go into the darbar, into the royal court, what's the first thing you do? You surrender your mind. You bow. Because in order to elevate yourself into the higher mind, you have to be willing to let go of your regular mind. Sounds complicated? How do we let go of the mind? What are we talking about? Which mind? Which lower mind? Next you're going to tell me there's a left mind and a right mind, and an up mind and a down mind. I only know one mind. And those of us will think, let's leave it. It's complicated. A lot of you will listen to this wisdom today and you will go home because your mind will tell you, we don't need this. You'll go back to your ordinary life. And there are those of you who have come today knowing, no, my mind, I know, is not my best friend. My mind has taken me to some really dark places, and I don't think that's what life should be about. I know that life should be about light, not about darkness. Even the word Guru is so profound. That which takes me from darkness to light. Gu means darkness, Ru means light. The Guru only wants to do one thing, to lift you up, to take you from your dark mind into the highest, most radiant mind. That is what is on offer when you go and accept this wisdom. So let's talk about practicality now. How do we go about doing this? I want you to first realize that it's not your fault. The lower mind is not your fault. It's very natural. You've been creating these identities all this time, right from a very young age. When you were a baby, you identified, this is my mother. It's a very natural process. These are my parents, my siblings. When you grow up, these are my friends, these are my toys. This is my body. This is my life, my family, my wife, my husband, my children, my job, my business. If I don't look after them, who else is going to look after them? You've created these identities. Even the word identity, I really try as much as possible to simplify things. What do we mean by creating identities? Any time that your mind has said, this is mine. And this is a very natural human process that happens to all human beings. Creating this idea that things are mine. But there's a problem that comes with that. It's not a problem to say that this is mine. It's not a problem to say this is my body. But when you create that, you create something called an attachment. Once you say this is mine, you create an unrealistic expectation that this is mine and it has to stay. I want to hold on to this. I like it. That fundamental thing of wanting to hold on to things is the reason why we go through so much distress in life. It's very simple. You're simply holding on to everything. And every time something that you're holding on to, something that you hold dear to, gets challenged, gets taken away, gets changed, we go back into the darkness of our own mind. The depths of sorrow, the depths of grief. Because we've oversimplified life. For us, getting things is happiness and losing things is sadness. Getting the job, congratulations. Losing the job, sadness. I don't know what to do. What am I going to do with my life? Getting the relationships, great. Congratulations. We have parties, we have whole ceremonies. Losing the relationships, oh, I'm so sorry for you. The whole world around you is treating life in the same way because that's what everyone else is doing. So is there a solution to this? Isn't this normal? Isn't this what we're meant to be doing? Can we not just live this way and just get a bit of God and holiness in our life at the same time? The Guru says no. You have to be willing to give up this old way of thinking, the wrong way of thinking. But the Guru gives you something fantastic. He says, when you come to me, the price that you have to pay is your mind. But in return, I will give you my mind. Give me your ego mind, and I will give you my Guru mind, so that you can also think like a Guru. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That no matter what's happening in life, we can always be in the higher mind. Is that what we want? You have to be willing to give up the lower mind, okay? Let's see how to do that. Today I want to go through a verse with you by one of these masters called Kabir. If any of you have the apps on your phone where you can look at a verse from Guru Granth Sahib Ji, and you can look at the translations, I encourage you to take those apps out and follow this verse with me. Kabir is going to help us go on a journey. And I want to set the scene. Think about any of these battles that you may have watched on a movie. A medieval scene. There's a castle, there's a fortress, and there's an army waiting outside, ready to overthrow the king that is sitting inside the fortress. Sounds like something from Lord of the Rings. Yeah? Now, we don't really have those things going on today. Not in the same way. But when Kabir was writing this was something he was actually witnessing. Battles, armies, armed with helmets and body armor and swords and mounted on horses, bow and arrows, shields, all of those things. Bhagat Kabir ji is going to describe your mind in that way. So the verse that we're going to be looking at today, a war is about to begin. And the verse is, Kyon lijay gad banka pai. Kyon lijay gad banka pai. He starts by saying, "Oh brother, how are we going to conquer this solid fortress?" Dover kot ar tevar khai. This fortress is very difficult to penetrate. It has double walls and it has 3 moats. So imagine Kabir is like the general of an army. And he's saying, I don't know, how am I going to get through all of these defenses? What is he talking about? He's talking about how difficult it is going to be to overcome his own mind. The battle is starting to happen here. He's about to start a war in his own mind. And he says, I don't know. It seems so huge. How am I going to overthrow this fortress? It seems so well protected, so well guarded. He's talking about his own mind. So in the very first lines, we see that the journey to overcome your mind is not an easy one. The Guru is giving you the disclaimer at the beginning. I'm warning you, this is not going to be easy. Ready? We still willing to go forward? Let's see. He says, it is defended first by the 5 senses, the 25 elements of the body. This fortress is defended by attachments, by pride, by jealousy, and the awesomely powerful Maya. In order to overcome the mind, Kabir is showing us, these are all the different things that you're going to have to overcome, the obstacles. Jealousy, your attachments, your obsession with the material world, even your 5 senses. How do we interact with the world? Through our 5 senses. We look at things, we hear things, we taste things, we smell things, we touch things. That is how we know the world. And I don't know if any of you have tried to meditate, but even after about 2-3 minutes, your mind starts craving distraction. Yeah, it's not easy. Start thinking, oh, this is too much work. Can I not just watch Netflix? Can I not do something simpler? Maybe I left the oven on. Oh, I think I can hear my kids calling. So many different distractions because you have lived your whole life using your senses to take your attention out. I want you to bear that in mind because we're going to cover this a little bit later. You have used your senses to take your attention outwards. So that is something that is so habitual to us. It is something that we're so used to doing that even now, as you're listening to me, there will be certain times where something will grab your attention, something else. Some sight, some sound, some thought. You're going to go out there, oh, what about this, what about that? We have created a habit of constantly allowing our mind to be distracted by something else. He said that's not going to be easy to overcome that because we've been doing it our whole life. And what is it that we draw our attention to? Things that we're attracted to, things that we're attached to. Sometimes we look at what other people have, we think, oh, I wish I had one of those. That looks nice. They're driving a nice car. That's better than my car. Or what they're wearing looks nice. Or even their physique. I wish my body looked like that body. Constantly taking your attention out. Kabir is starting by saying, imagine your mind is like a castle that you're trying to overcome. These are the things that you have to overcome. He says, "Oh Lord, I'm just a poor servant. I have no strength to overcome this. How will I do this? What am I going to do?" He said, at the front of the castle, there is my desires, my lust. Lust guards the gate. Pain and pleasure are on patrol, and they guard the gates of virtue and sin. So many more things now. Now my desires are another obstacle. My ideas of this is good and this is bad, right and wrong. That's how we live our life. I should do this, I shouldn't do this. Ideas of right and wrong, he says you're going to have to overcome those as well. Your constant desires for something more, he says you're going to have to overcome them as well. Pain and pleasure, your emotional roller coaster, you're going to have to overcome that as well. You know what he's saying? He's saying the master doesn't have any of these. He doesn't have an emotional roller coaster. Wouldn't that be wonderful? The truth of the matter is, for the rest of today, you don't know which emotions you're going to experience. That's why you know you're not the master of your mind. The mind is the master. The mind says, quick, get angry. You get angry. You notice this especially when you're driving and somebody else cuts up in front of you. Your mind says all of these negative words, start swearing at them. Why can't people drive? Why do they let people like this get a license? Everyone should be a driver like me. I'm such a perfect driver. And then the passenger sitting next to you is saying, no, you're not. I'm even better than you. You should let me drive. Yeah? This is what your mind is doing. Constantly judging others. Your mind tells you to get angry, you get angry. Somebody hits your car, your mind says, now it's time to get upset, you get upset. You get a free coupon for a coffee, you get happy. You go to get your free coffee and you realize the expiry date is gone, and then you get sad. You're not in control. You have no idea what emotions you're going to go through today. The emotional roller coaster. The masters are saying, we're not going through that, you're going through it. You have to be willing to give up your emotional roller coaster, pain and pleasure, constantly switching between one or the other. And he says, oh Lord, I don't know how to do this. How am I going to do this? Too many difficult things. And we're so used to these things. It's so normal for us. Then he says, in this fortress, those were just the little armies on control. He says, anger is the commander, fearsome and aggressive. And at the center of that castle, there is the ego. The king of that castle is the ego, the man, the self, I am. I'm right. He said, that's the general that's there. And he's being guarded by his commander, who is anger. He's telling you that's another thing you have to look out for. You might be able to get rid of your desires. You might be able to get rid of some things here and there. But he says, what about this fierce and aggressive thing called anger? You're going to be able to get rid of that? Some of you will be thinking, but surely you need anger sometimes. Yeah? Any of you who have kids, you have to get angry at them sometimes. You have to raise your voice sometimes. What do you mean? Am I never allowed to raise my voice? Let's see. Let's see what the masters are saying. Because all of these things you've convinced yourself are normal. The masters are saying, no, this is not normal. All of this is your ego mind. All of this is your lower mind. And the masters are saying, we're somewhere else. We're not here. We're not experiencing the same things as you. Isn't that strange? They're not experiencing anger, nor frustration, nor sadness, nor excitement, nor jealousy. They never look at anyone else, and their mind for a second doesn't go there and think, I wish I had one of those. Their mind doesn't do that. But why are they teaching us? Because they're saying, if we can do it, you can do it. This is available to you. Give me your lower mind, and I will give you the higher mind. That's what the masters are teaching us. Look what else he's saying. The army wears an armor of taste. Look at the beautiful poetry. There's an army there who are wearing an armor of taste. He's saying, the pleasures that you run after, even those are a problem. Those who know me, over the last few days, some of my friends, they know I have a big sweet tooth. So whenever they see me, they give me something sweet. And this is what we do. We create an identity. Oh, I have a sweet tooth. It becomes a part of who I am. We quite like it. We quite like our identities. This is who I am. This is how I know myself. Even your tastes are a problem. Why are they a problem? Because you know deep down, we use pleasures to numb the pain. And the masters are saying, pleasures will not solve the problem. They're simply numbing the pain. You have to get rid of even pleasures, even tastes. Does that mean I have to get rid of all of my stuff? I just about built a nice world around me. Do I have to get rid of all of those things? No, he's saying don't get rid of your stuff. Watch how he doesn't tell you to pick up one single piece of furniture from your house. He doesn't tell you to get rid of anything. He doesn't tell you to let go of your car or your fancy clothes. Has he mentioned any of those? He's not, right? He says, keep all your stuff. I'm not here to fix your world. I'm here to fix your mind. You can have all the stuff that you want. It's this stuff that you need to get rid of. So he says, even your pleasures, the taste buds that you're always chasing after, we're going to have to deal with that. So there's an army that's guarding the higher mind. By the way, remember, we're talking about how do we get to the higher mind. These are all the armies that you have to battle through. Your affections for other things, your selfish intellect. He says the army is ready with a bow of selfishness. We're always ready to serve our own interests first. Yeah? It's always our own interest that we're looking after. He says there's a bow and they're ready to fire, and that bow is called selfishness. And what is the arrow? Desire is the arrow. You're always ready to fire the arrow of desire. And that's what this army is doing, ready. Always to think about your deep-rooted selfishness. I'm important. What about me? Me first. The world has taught you a me-first attitude. But the masters are telling you that has not helped you in your life. There's a better way. And he says, the army is ready to fire the arrows of deep-rooted desire, and because of all of this, you're not going to be able to conquer this. It's going to be too difficult. Sounds quite gloomy. I thought we were going to get a solution to all of this. First, know your army. Know your opponent. Then Kabir is going to give us the solution. So Kabir is the general. He's got his army, but he's seeing they have archers, they have good helmets, they have good armory. They're hiding behind this very difficult to penetrate fortress. How am I going to do all this? So Kabir takes a deep breath in, and now he's ready to charge. The solution to the mind is the rest of this verse. Prem palita surat havai gola gyan chalaya. He says, I first generate a loving attitude. I'm going to win this war with my love. Not with my aggression, because I'm trying to defeat aggression and anger. I'm going to take the fuse of love, awareness as my cannon, and I fire the cannonball of higher wisdom. So he says, I've seen your army, now let me show you my secret weapon. He says, love is the fuse that I'm going to use to light the cannon of awareness, and it's going to shoot out higher wisdom. Remember, we're not going outwards. He's going to shoot it in here. How do I defeat all of those different things? He says, I'm going to use higher wisdom. Because the lesson that Kabirji is trying to teach us is with higher wisdom, we can get to a higher mind. Higher wisdom leads to your higher mind. And when he fires that, he says the divine fire explodes with ease, and with a single shot, the entire fortress is taken down. Let me repeat that, because this is the lesson. The divine fire explodes with ease, and with a single shot, the entire fortress is taken down. He said, I saw all of this, and then I brought out my secret weapon. And all I had to do was fire a single shot of divinity and higher wisdom, and all of the armies, and all of the enemy, and all of the fortresses came crumbling down. If you've ever seen these movies, you take one shot, you break down the fortress in some way, you try and get an entry point in, and then the army rushes in. He says, I take higher truth and contentment as my army, and we're going to go charging and fighting. And we break down the two gates of right and wrong. Ideas, this is good, this is not good. Everything that everybody else has told me, do this, don't do that. He says, I'm going to use not society's wisdom of what's right and wrong. I'm now going to use higher wisdom. And that higher wisdom comes from an inner truth and a contentment. Sahaj, I'm going to use the stillness within me. With the blessings of holy saints and the divine Guru, I have captured the king of the fortress. He says, we've succeeded. We've gone in. We've entered this mind. With the army of divine devotees and the power of meditation, these have cut away the fear of death around my neck. So he says, one of the key things that was guarding the king, you know, as you're fighting and you get through the first army and then you get a little bit higher up into the fortress, he said right at the very end, the thing that was guarding the king was fear of death. He said, I got rid of the fear of death as well. And when I got rid of that, I got rid of the mind. But what did I use? I used divine wisdom. I used the devotees. I used other people who showed me the secret passage to get in. The spiritual masters. And he ends by saying, Das Kabir chadiyo gad upar, Raj liyo abnasi. He says, Kabir has now climbed this fortress, and the divine now sits on the throne. I know there's a lot of concepts here. I know that there's a lot of jargon, and it's very important that we actually break some of these things down. And what is that secret weapon? He said, the secret weapon that I use is the divine. You have one secret weapon available to you. That is divine awareness. The truth is, most of us have no idea how to use divine awareness. What do we mean? I know what my anger is. I know what my frustrations are. I know what jealousy feels like. I know what craving what other people have feels like. I know what desires feel like. But you're telling me that behind all of that, I have a secret weapon called awareness, called divine wisdom? That I don't know. Because even though I may have gone to the temples and the gurdwaras and the churches, even though I may have heard spiritual wisdom before, I don't know it within myself. You're telling me that I have it, but I don't know that I have it. I just know what my lower mind is. So the question is now, how are you going to get there? How are you going to get to the point where you begin to know? And so we go back to the key lessons that the Master has given us, and from that we can see how do we start to use it. The key lessons are the quality of your mind will determine the quality of your life. That's the first lesson. That in order to get to where we need to get to, in order to go from the lower mind to the higher mind, you first have to understand that your entire religion and spirituality is about one thing: battling your mind. That is religion. That is spirituality. That is faith. That is meditation. That is mindfulness. That is the crux of what all the masters have tried to be teaching you. Then he said that pleasure does not solve the problem. Pleasure only numbs the pain. What is he saying? You know, when you have a wound, when you have a cut, you can take a painkiller, but that's not going to solve the problem. You have to treat the wound. Is that right? You have to treat the wound. The painkiller is fine. He said you've been overly reliant on painkillers, and that painkiller is called pleasure. Whenever life feels a little bit difficult, we run towards pleasures. For me, it's my sweet tooth. Yeah? Whenever life feels a little bit difficult, even if I'm doing a task at work, oh, this feels too much. And I get up. You know, this is the worst thing about working from home. The fridge is always just there. You get up and you say, let's see what's in the fridge. Maybe there's something nice. Yeah? That need to just get up and distract yourself. You know that you're actually avoiding the task that you need to do. We're just numbing the pain, but we're not dealing with the real problem. The next lesson is that higher wisdom leads to the higher mind. So you need to surround yourself with higher wisdom. And then he talked about this inner awareness, inner peace, santok, stillness. So the other lesson is that you really do need to practice inner peace. You have to practice inner peace. It's called inner peace for a reason. It's something that you have to go within yourself to figure out, do I really know what inner peace is? Or do I know what my religions have been telling me I need to do? And this is the point where theory can only take you so far. Practice is what's going to actually show you what these things are. Do you think the masters like Kabir just read books in order to understand their higher mind? They must have done something that we're not doing. They must have done something different. They practiced, they knew. They went and searched within themselves. And this goes back to the point I made earlier about the five senses. You have used your five senses as a way to go and view the world, to witness the world. The masters use the five senses and they turn the attention to go within themselves. What they do is different to what we do. If we see something we haven't seen before, we use our senses to pay attention to that thing. This is nice, I haven't seen this before. If we listen to some music that we haven't heard before, this is nice, I haven't heard this before, let me listen carefully. We're using our senses to go out. You know what the masters are doing? They use the senses to go in. What is it that is seeing this? What is it in here that can appreciate this beauty? What is it in here that is listening to this? They are using their senses to go inwards. And that requires practice. That is something you need to know, and this is where meditation comes in.
A recent study has shown that over 75% of Sikhs say that their life feels stressful or overwhelming. These feelings can develop into depression, alcohol abuse, or even suicide. We believe that Guru Nanak's wisdom can help transform people's lives. Nanak Naam relies on your donation to help create more videos and podcasts like this to educate people all over the world on how to use Guru Nanak's teachings to improve their emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. Set up a monthly donation today and help change someone's life. Visit nanaknaam.org/donate.